Given the high degree of vulnerability to natural hazards across the Caribbean, the European Union and the Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States, OACPS, teamed up since 2011 with the World Bank Group and its Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, GFDRR, to launch the ACP-EU Natural Disaster Risk Reduction Program. From its inception in 2011, activities have supported Caribbean countries to better protect vulnerable populations from the damaging impacts of disasters and to increase the likelihood of a timely and successful recovery. In the Caribbean, 42 projects were implemented across the region, which have addressed the growing number of severe tropical storms, seismic and geological activity, and the impacts of climate change. The program has helped to establish the foundations of disaster risk management in the region. It is focused on specific sectors such as transport or urban infrastructure. It has also inspired key institutional reforms in the Caribbean to reduce the devastating economic disruption from disasters.
The program has had a beneficial impact in providing its Caribbean partners with the technical assistance necessary to build resilience, from helping the Dominican Republic improve the efficiency of recovery financing in reducing poverty, to advising St. Lucia on how to ensure exposure to its public infrastructure, to promoting gender-sensitive disaster resilience in Haiti. These activities reflect the priority the program has placed on building inclusive resilience and reducing the impacts disasters have on the region's socioeconomically vulnerable groups.
In Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, activities implemented with the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency have helped improve regional coordination and launch successful institutional reforms to improve disaster preparedness response. This has helped these countries to prepare for increasingly frequent and destructive natural hazards. These assessments are informing policy reforms and investment solutions to address critical gaps and determine the most effective organizational structure and how to fund these changes. For example, a strategic roadmap and corresponding investment plan have been designed to provide guidance on addressing the gaps in human and financial resources.
We have to ensure that as a country, we're able to have the resources that are necessary before the disaster, so that in the event of the disaster, these resources can be available to be able to respond to the disaster.
The ACP-EU NDRR Program has been a driving force in helping Caribbean countries strengthen their resilience to climate change and disaster risks.
One of the things that we were able to do with this project is really program some necessary inputs for mainstreaming DRM. Those inputs included our transportation sector risk analysis. It included our coastal guidelines, coastal management guidelines. We looked at our emergency responses, gap analysis for emergency responses.
The program has worked alongside key stakeholders such as governments, international organizations, donors, civil society, the private sector and academia to protect sustainable development gains from the impacts of disasters.